Hey, what's up guys, it's Theo from Concept. So today we are going to create this simple Bluetooth headset ad in Adobe Photoshop. Let's just get started. Welcome to Concept. Click the subscribe button and hit the bell icon so you don't miss out on any of our future videos. Alright, so let's go ahead and open up our application. And I'm going ahead to create a new document, so I click on create new. Let me quickly bring it up here, and I'll be using a custom settings. So in my case is going to be 2000 pixels by 2000 pixels, like so. I'm going to change the color mode to RGB if it is already set to RGB. Then I'll probably use a transparent background. If in case you don't have that, you can just use a white background. You know what, let's just use white just in case some of you are using the older version of Photoshop. So if you have your work open like this, you can just click on this icon to unlock it. If it's still an older version, you can double click and change it to a layer. Then you can start from there. So let's open up our image. This is the star of the whole design. I got this from Google, so you can see that there are some watermarks from the original site. Anyway, let's open this up in Photoshop. So whilst you're in Photoshop, I'm also going to change this to a layer by clicking on the lock icon so I can delete out the white part. Now, since the background is a solid single color, we can just use the magic wand, which is found right here, W on your keyboard, to just select out the white part. So if I just click, you notice that it selects out the white part for me. Now I have unlocked this, so I can go ahead and hit delete on my keyboard, and it's going to delete that portion out for me. Now I can click on this inner white part too and just delete it out. Now once I'm done, I can use Ctrl D to deselect this for me. So I'll use the move tool. I'll click from here. I'll bring it onto this tab without releasing. Then I'll drag onto this tab like so. Now you should see an arrow with a plus icon before you release. Then this is what we have. This is pretty small. I wasn't expecting it to be like this. But before we resize, we have to right click on our image and go to convert to smart object. This will prevent it from pixelating when we resize. It is still going to pixelate, but it's not going to be too drastic. So I'll place this somewhere around the center like so. I think somewhere around here is fine. Now I'm going with a red theme from here. So yeah, I think that looks much better than the black theme, but I don't know, we'll just work around it and see. So with the layer selected, the background layer, you know what, we'll delete it. We don't even actually need it. So I'll go into my adjustment panel and click on gradient. Now in gradient, I'm going to select the gradient box I have right here. Now, if you're using a newer version, you are going to notice that you have a lot of different colors you can choose from. Let's try some of the reds and see what we are getting. You know what, I'm not actually going to meddle around them. I'm just going into the basis where we have the foreground to background, the first preset, and I'll select one I want for myself. You know what, let's click on OK because this is on top of our image. I can't really select the color from the image. So I'll bring it beneath, then I'll bring back the gradient fill. So double click here. Now I'll select the first portion where we have the foreground to background. I'll select the color. Then I'll use my eyedropper tool to select a color I want from here. So I'll be using a much darker red, which is somewhere around here. And let me bring it down a little bit and I'll click on OK. Then I'll select the extreme end, the bottom one, color. Then I'll be using a much lighter red, which is going to be somewhere around here. Yeah, I think somewhere around here is cool. And I'll click on OK and OK one more time. Now, once I am back here, I'm actually going to flip this around. Instead of using a style linear, I'll just click on that and go to radial. Now, radial brings it at the center. So we have a center color fading into a different color outwards. And I'm actually going to reverse it like so that the lighter color will actually be on the inside, like what you see right here. Now try to position it just around this area so it looks a bit nicer. And you can also go ahead and play with the scale depending on which colors you are using and how it works for you. I think around 200 should be just fine for me, and I'll just click on OK. Now I think basically we are done with this. So double click and let's call this image. It's always best to name your files so that it makes them a lot easier to find. So your your layers and basically your layers, it makes it a lot easier when you are finding everything. So I'm going to create a new group and let's call this text. So with this, all our texts are going to be in there. Now I'll be using the type tool, the horizontal type tool. The short key is T on your keyboard, and I'll set the font color to white, which is up here, and I'll click on OK. Now let's type in something. So we have wireless. I hate it when Photoshop does this. You have to click several times before it can update itself. So let's type in wireless headphone, and I'll try and place this at the center. I should actually bring up my rulers. So hold down Control and press R on your keyboard. So I'll click and drag to the center like so. The center should be somewhere around 50 mark. If you right click, you can actually change it to whatever you want. I have mine set to percentage, so I'll know when I am just at the 50%. If you change it to, I don't know, maybe pixels, you also know between 0 and 2000, which is our pixel we selected at the beginning of this video. You know that 1000 should be at the center, but I like mine to be at the percent so that it's a lot easier for me. So I place this somewhere around here, and the font I'm going with is called the Gotham font. I use this a lot in almost all my videos. So I have it set here, so Gotham, and I'm going to change this to the medium, and I'll have this highlighted, and I'm going to change this to probably ultra. Or probably let's make all of them ultra. Why not? So I'll change this to ultra, and I'm actually going to increase the size of this. So instead of 20, I'll go with probably, let's try 36. It looks a bit too much, so probably 30 should be just fine, and I'll place it somewhere around here. So I'll click on the image layer, V on my keyboard to bring up the move tool, and I'll bring this down a little bit. I think somewhere around here should be just fine. Now I'm going to do something to the image before I forget. So I'll create a group for the image. So with the image layer selected, hold down Control and press G. So this is going to bring up the group. I'll probably call this image. So we are going to duplicate the image. Holding down Control, I'll press J, or just click and drag onto the new layer icon to create a duplicate. Now once I have the duplicate, I'll click on any of the edges or use Control T for transform options. Now you notice you have the transform options active when you have these 1, 2, 3 things at the top. Now if I click outside, you see that they are missing. So if I click on any of the edges, they come back. So I have the transform active. I'm just going to flip this around. So I'll just right click and go to flip horizontal, or probably let's start with a vertical. So I'll flip it vertically. I think something like this should be just fine. And I'll just click on OK. Now, once I have that, I'm also going to turn down the opacity of this. So I'll come into opacity and I'll turn it down to right around, let's try 20%. Yeah, I think 20% is just fine. So we have some light reflection over here at the bottom. We're going to do something else to it. So let's hold on for some. Wow. No, I'll change it to 15. I feel 15 should be just fine. Okay, so let's go back to our text and add in some more. So I'll grab my type tool one more time. This is what I was talking about with the typing. It's so hectic. I have to go through this every single time. And it changes everything to the least font. I don't know why. So yeah, let's type in something like up to 30%. I'll bring this at the bottom because why not? Then I'm going ahead to change these two. So probably the book font, and this will also be the book font. The reason for that is I'm actually going to reduce the size of these. So something very small. I have it set to 15. Oh, Photoshop. I'm going to set this to probably the 12 points and do the exact same thing for this as well. You don't have to type all of them together like I have right now. I'll probably just separate them at some point. Not at some point, I'm actually going to do it just now. So I'll highlight this, Control X to cut this out so that I can bring this at the top. I think somewhere around here is fine. And I'll paste it in here so it is a separate text. I can manipulate it however I want. And I'll do the exact same thing for this also. It's best to have that much flexibility. and I'll paste this also somewhere around here. Now I'm also going to reduce the size of this up to 30% off to, I don't know, let's try, I think 30 for 30% should be just fine. So I'll place this somewhere around here. All right, this is looking cool already. So I'll put this here and put this here as well. Now instead of just, let's select all three, holding down Control, I'll press G to group them up, and let's call this 30%. I think 30% should be fine. So instead of having this hovering like this somewhere here with no background or anything around it, I feel we should create a shape around it so that it stands out even more. So we just be using the pen tool, which is right here, and we are going to be creating the shape inside the 30% folder inside the layers panel, of course. So before that, I'm going to change it from path to shape so that anytime I click, it is going to be creating a shape for me. So I'll have my shapes, I'll create something weird like this just to cover up the 30% I have in here. Just go weird with it, but not too weird. So this will come here somewhere like this. Yeah, I think this is okay, and I'll press enter to create my shape. Let me bring this beneath the whole of this. Now, because the font is white and the shape I created is also white, you basically can't see it. So what I'll do is I'll go into the fill for the shape, making sure that the shape is selected. I'll go into fill and turn it down to 0%. Now what this does is fill means the color inside and outline means the color outside, or stroke means the color outside for the outline. So the fill is going down, so you basically can't see, but the shape is still there. Then I'll go into FX and click on stroke. Now in my stroke panel, I'm going to set it to around 5. Yeah, 5 should be just fine, and I'll set the color to white and click on OK. If you want to set the color, you should find it here, and I'll click on OK. So I'll place this somewhere around here, and as you can see, the text is popping out a little bit more. So let's hide this for a second. Now let's add in some more information. So I'll create a new group, and I'll call this group maybe contact info. Also in the text folder, then I'll type in some information like, this is what I'm talking about. You can hear me typing, but it just doesn't work at first. So call us for more information or probably details. I don't know, but for some reason a friend of mine told me that when you make each letter capital, it stands out a little bit more. So I'll be using the right align text in this case, and I have something like this. Then I'll add in the phone number, say 123456789 or something like that. Then I'll also change this into the bold version or ultra version depending on how you want to use it. So let's select this, and I think 12 points is okay for this, but I will actually increase this a little bit. Yeah, just to make it look like they are both hitting the edges of each other text. So 21 looks nice, but I'll probably use the 22 because I like even numbers. So I'll place this somewhere around here. Now I'll select the bottom text. I'll go into window, click on character, which should be somewhere here. Now what I want to do is I want to bring this text a little bit closer to this. I don't like the spacing in here, and you should find that over here where we have the A on top and A beneath and an arrow showing up and down. So I'll just click and drag, and as you can see, this manipulates what I have in there. So I think something like this is okay. So 20 should be just fine, or 22, just like the font, should be just fine. Now I'm going to place this somewhere around here also. Now this is looking quite neat. Let's add in one more information, which is going to be something like order now. So order now will have to be here. And yeah, this is what I'm talking about. You see, it reduces the size again. So let's make this much bigger. And I'll be using the left align. I'll be using the center align instead. And I'll make this all caps. So still in my character option, I'll just click on all caps and it changes to all caps. And I'll be using the bigger font. Why did it change the font style? So I'll be using Gotham again. Let's go up to Gotham, and I'll be using the ultra font, and I'll make it a little bit smaller, probably 14 points, and I'll place this somewhere here. Hit enter, and I'll type in something like a website like www.finalconcepts.com. Now the website is not going to be all caps, obviously, so I'll just turn the all caps off, and I'll also change it to something like a book version and reduce the size to something like this. Yeah, 8 points would be just fine. So basically that is it. You know what, let's separate it just like we did for here. So for instead of bringing them closer, I'll actually extend it to something like this. Yeah, 20 should be just fine. Now the reason for that is I actually want to add in a shape around this text, the order now, so that it looks a lot nicer. So I'll go into the shape option and I'll be using actually I was looking for the rounded rectangle, but for some reason I can't find it here. Photoshop decided to take it out for some reason. I'm sure I should find it. Yeah, I think it is still up here. So I'll make the edges about 50%. Now, in case you don't do that, let me undo for a second. In case you have it set to 50, I'm sure if I draw, it's just going to be a blob, just a rectangle, which I do not want. So I'm going to set the edge to about 50 and see if I'm going to get the edges like so. Yeah, this is what I want. So I'll delete the other one. And just like we did for the other shape, I'll turn down the fill to 0. I'll go into FX, click on stroke and have a stroke like this and click on OK. Now with the move tool selected V on your keyboard, I'll bring the shape somewhere around here and stretch it out like so. So basically that is it. If you want, you can just bring the text closer. I think this is okay for me. Now you can also go ahead and add in some weird shapes and all of that, but I feel this tutorial is becoming a little bit too long, so I'll just leave you guys here. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to watch more of my videos, hit that subscribe button, and as always, don't forget to share with your family and friends. This is Theo from Final Concept, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.